How's it going out there, YouTubers? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this review and see what I saw. So the other day, I had the pleasure of finally checking out an awesome new biographical movie drama that just recently came out in theaters. That's being considered a huge hit, is being considered a Oscar contender and so forth, just for how amazing and clever and just how interesting of a film it was. Now, the film I happen to be talking about is an awesome film based on the life of Neil Armstrong. And that, of course, is the film First Man. Now, First Man, if you don't know what it's about, like I said, it's basically about the life story of Neil Armstrong, the first man to step on the moon. Now, this film happens to be directed by a musical genius, a lot of people say, and that happens to be Mr. Damien Chazelle. Now, Damien Chazelle you might recognize from a few other films. You might recognize him from being such a big Oscar nomination and contender a couple years ago. Now, a couple movies that I've seen that he's directed and thought that they were okay, not too bad films. One of them I haven't seen, one of them I did see in theaters. Particularly the one that I thought was the best is the one I'm doing the review on, actually. Now, a couple of the two films that I'm talking about happens to be one that is a Oscar-nominated type of film that was considered a huge success and considered for Best Picture a couple of years ago. And it stars the Teller Miles and also an awesome other gentleman that has been in a lot of films over the years that played Joe Jameson and the Spider-Man films, the original three by Sam Raimi, Mr. J.K. Simmons, and of course that happens to be the film called Whiplash. Now, Whiplash, I don't know too much about except that it's basically about a gentleman that's trying to learn to play instrument with his musical teacher, and he gives him a really hard time to make him the best musical protege ever, basically. And supposedly this is a really intense and awesome film, really well done by everyone involved. J.K. Simmons actually won for his role in that film. He also was nominated several times. Miles Teller was also nominated for several things and and stuff like that. But from my understanding and what I've seen from the trailer, it looks like a very interesting and fun film. It looks like it was pretty well directed by Damien Chazelle. I still haven't had a chance to check it out. Definitely something on my queue to watch. But definitely an interesting film I've heard, in that it was definitely a trip of a film as well. Now, the other film that I have seen, and that was a huge Oscar winner and nomination giant 2 years ago at the Oscars, is none other than a musical starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. And that, of course, is the film La La Land. Now, if you're not familiar with La La Land, basically it's a musical kind of drama film, kind of a romance type of film too, and basically it's about two characters and kind of how their lives span into their careers and what they do, and it's along with musical numbers and stuff like that. Damien Chazelle got a lot of huge credit for this movie being so amazing and wonderful. I myself didn't care too much for it. I didn't think it was that great. I didn't think the performances in it were anything spectacular. I thought the music was okay. But at the same time, I didn't think it deserved all the Oscar nominations it got, because I felt that there's a lot of films in 2016 that were a lot better than that film. That's just, that's what the critics feel, and, that's their opinion, and that's fine. But at the same time, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, there was a couple other dramas that were better, I feel. But anyways, but still, at the same time, Damien Chazelle directed that, and, he did an okay job. I thought he did pretty decently with the film, and he definitely made it, halfway decent, and, at least made it enough to where it was enjoyable to check out and at least say I've seen it at least once. Most definitely, it's worth watching once. I wouldn't own it. I wouldn't recommend it, but at the same time, I feel like, if you feel like you need, to do 1001 movies to see before die, I believe that La La Land is on that list now, with the update and everything. But at the same time, like I said, I wouldn't highly recommend it, but definitely at least give it a try to see for yourself if you like it or not. But when it comes to The First Man, Damien Chazelle directed the crap out of this film. I totally feel that this is his best directing film ever. He made such a great biopic. I loved the look. I loved the lay of the film. I thought it was just so well directed by him. I thought he did an amazing job just bringing to life Neil Armstrong's story and just gave us a really awesome perspective into, Armstrong's life and what, he had to go through to get to being that first person to footstep, on the moon and be, the first successful mission to land on the moon and so forth. It's amazing just what he, made and how he created this film and just did an amazing job. Highly recommend him as a good director for this film, most definitely. I think he was amazing with this film and definitely his best work to date, I feel. So to start out this awesome cast of this movie, we have none other than an awesome actor that I feel is, amazing actor. I knew when he was a kid he was going to be an amazing actor and that he had the great acting chops and that he would give us great and awesome performances. And over the years, he has given us some of the greatest performances I've seen in movies in a long time. And that, of course, is Mr. Ryan Gosling. Now, Ryan Gosling you might recognize from The Notebook. You might recognize him from The First Man, La La Land, and so forth. But a couple films I really enjoyed him in and I thought he was fantastic in were none other than an awesome film directed by Shane Black that came out a couple years ago that I think is just an amazing, action, comedy, buddy cop type of film starring Russell Crowe as well. And that, of course, is the film The Nice Guys. This movie is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love this film. I think it's so intense, awesome, just fun, really well directed by Shane Black, and just an amazing performance by Ryan Gosling. I love every scene he's in. He's absolutely freaking hilarious. And I just think he did an amazing job with the role, and just was a fun character in the film, too. And he just did an amazing job with how he had to act as that character. Kind of being in a drunken stupor the whole film, because he's always drinking and stuff like that. He did such an amazing job with that. And once again, there he showed his acting chops and how good of an actor he is. Now, the other film that I think he's amazing in and that I absolutely loved as a film stars the great Anthony Hopkins and is a thriller type film that has a lot of twists and turns type of thing and you're not too sure where it's going and it's just one of those really awesome tense films. And that, of course, is the film called Fractured. Now, if you're not familiar with Fractured, basically what the plot of the film is, Anthony Hopkins' character has supposedly killed his wife, and Ryan Gosling is kind of the attorney that has been brought in to take his case. And basically it's he's trying to find out things about him and find out if he is guilty or not guilty, basically. It's just a really awesome film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. It's such an amazing film. Probably one of Ryan Gosling's best films, even better than The Notebook. He is just so awesome in the film. It makes me think a lot about that film Murder by Numbers with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Gosling and so forth. And it has that kind of feel to it, and it's just one of those really intense, awesome films. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. Worth a watch, Fractured. But when it comes to playing Neil Armstrong in First Man, I thought Ryan did a really good job. Especially because apparently Neil Armstrong was a very straight-faced person. He didn't show a lot of emotion. He was all about getting the work done and being done. And I thought that Ryan Gosling did a really good job of portraying that. And showing that kind of straight face, nothing, intimidates him, faces him, etc. type of thing. And I thought he did a really amazing job with that. I thought he really conveyed it very well. I think he gave us a new aspect of who Neil Armstrong was, and I thought he did a really good job. Really great performance. One of my new favorite performances by him now, and just thought he was really excellent in the film. Now, another actress we have in this film, or actor, that we have in this film, is none other than a woman that plays Neil Armstrong's wife in the film. Now, this actress a lot of people think she's great. I don't really think she's that amazing. I don't think she's anything special. And that, of course, is Miss Claire Foy. Now, Claire Foy you might recognize from the show The Crown that's been on Netflix. You might recognize her as the new Salinger character in the new Girl with the Dragon Tattoo film. But a couple movies that I've seen her in and that I'm not too sure about with her performance. I thought she was okay in them, and I don't really recall one of them very well because it's been a while since I've seen the movie. But of course, one of those films happens to be an awesome Nicolas Cage film that I remember it being amazing, but I don't recall her in the film. But I believe she plays the witch character in the film. And then, of course, is the film Season of the Witch, which is actually a remake of a film from 20, 30 years ago. And this film is just a really awesome, like, medieval, supernatural type of film. And Claire Foy apparently plays a character in the film. And like I said, I believe she plays the witch that they're trying to take and destroy. And I remember her being very creepy and very weird. And just being very, like, kind of insane kind of character. And I thought that was kind of interesting of, how it was and how she portrayed the character. She was okay in the film, but I didn't think she was going to be anything spectacular from that, role. But at the same time, the movie itself is amazing. Ron Perlman's in it along with Nick Cage, and just it's a really fun, awesome, like supernatural kind of fantasy, action epic medieval time film, which is really fun and enjoyable. The other movie that Claire Foy is in, I haven't had a chance to see yet, but from the previews, it looks like a really awesome and excellent film. And I absolutely think Andrew Garfield's a really amazing actor, and I think he does a great job. So I'm, kind of looking forward to this film. I haven't had a chance to see it, but everyone that I've heard that's seen it has said that Claire Foy did a really good job. And that, of course, is of the film called Breathe, which is based on a true story about a gentleman that was paralyzed. And still, even though he was paralyzed how he was, he made a life for himself and his wife and his family and so forth. And, got against all odds and stuff like that. And I've heard that Claire Foy did a pretty good job in it, and that was a really amazing kind of supporting actress, supporting character, and that she did a really amazing job and was fun in the film. Now, when it comes to in First Man, I wasn't really impressed with her performance as Neil Armstrong's wife. I didn't think she was anything special or spectacular. Even her scenes when she was being like more serious or aggressive, I didn't really feel it. I didn't really get anything from her. I found her kind of overacting, unfortunately, in the role. And I was a little disappointed in that, her characterization of Neil Armstrong's wife and just how she was. And she didn't really give the greatest performance, I felt. She was probably the least lackluster actress or actor in the film. I thought her character was the least best, and definitely not the greatest performance in the film either. Definitely it was a letdown, but still she did an okay job that it gave us kind of an interesting aspect of who Neil Armstrong's wife might have been, or how she was, how she dealt with everything that was going on, and just how they had to progress and get to where he footsteps on the moon and be the first step guy and so forth. And so I still thought that she wasn't super bad, but at the same time she wasn't anything great. A mediocre performance, but definitely wasn't anything to mess up or make the movie suck in any way or so. Now, another awesome actor that we have in this film that I think is just a fun, awesome, and amazing actor, and I absolutely love, and think he's just a really intense actor, brings a lot of great, oomph to everything he does, and just is a great, supporting actor that does a lot of character actors. And that, of course, is Mr. Kyle Chandler. Now, Kyle Chandler you might recognize from a slew of films. You might recognize him from TV shows and so forth. But a couple movies I really enjoyed him and thought he was fantastic in were none other than an awesome film that came out a few years back, 2009, I believe, that's basically a super alien type of film that has to do with sci-fi and stuff like that, directed by J.J. Abrams. And that, of course, is the film Super 8. Now, Super 8, if you haven't seen, is just a really fun and awesome, alien film that, makes it seem like you're watching on a Super 8 film, or a Super 8 camera that they used back, in that time frame, back in the 70s. And it was a really fun and awesome kind of interpretation, and I absolutely love Kyle Chandler's character in it, playing the dad of one of the main kids, and being the husband of the wife that got lost. And just his performance as the sheriff of the town was really awesome too. It was really well done. And just a really fun performance. I just really enjoyed his character. I thought he had a lot of oomph and a lot of great, like, just characterizations of the film that gave us, like, kind of funny and silly, like, just characterizations of the role. And he played, like, kind of like that serious role really well too. And you kind of feel all of his rage and all of his just his sorrow from the loss of his wife and stuff like that. And I thought he just did a really good job. A really good performance by him, and I think one of his best performances to date. Now, the other film that I saw him in and that I really enjoyed him in was an awesome comedy film that came out this year that has Jason Bateman in it and has, awesome Kyle Chandler in it and, a slew of, great actors and actresses that are just super funny and fun. And that, of course, is the film that's directed by John Francis Daley and his cohort. And that, of course, is the film Game Night. Oh, yeah! Pass me that 10. Woohoo! Park Place. Woohoo! Game Night. So this awesome film, I think, which was really well directed by them, was just fun and hilarious and awesome. And I absolutely love Kyle Chandler's character as Jason Bateman's brother. And he played the character so to the T. And was so hilarious and, like, kind of, like, just such a big, like, kind of dick character. And you laughed at him because he was so funny, but, like, when he's not, supposedly a part of this game and it's actually serious, it's like, he's so funny because you're like, it's like, this isn't a game, people, this is really happening, and just, like, how his reactions are, and stuff like that. They were just really awesome and fun in that film. I thought it was funny that they had given Chelsea Prada kind of a little role in the film, too, and I just thought Kyle Chandler's performance was really fun and enjoyable, and just a really great, another great performance by him and his characterization of character actors. Now, when it comes to his character in First Man, I thought he did a really good representation of his character, of the gentleman that was kind of like the head of all these missions, the Apollos and so forth. And I thought he did a good job playing that character. And he really portrayed the guy really well. Gave us, a great insight into, what it was like back in the 60s when they were doing all this stuff and what he had to deal with too, being kind of like the head honcho of this and having to deal with the consequences of what happens when somebody dies or something goes wrong. And I thought that Kyle did a really amazing job with the role. He really brought to light a lot of what we didn't see because we weren't either around or we didn't know about it because the news coverage wasn't as good and all that kind of stuff. That was behind the scenes type of stuff. And I thought that Kyle did such an amazing job and gave us a really awesome performance of that character. He was just a real pure joy to see in this movie and was a great addition to the film. So to round out this awesome cast, we have none other than an awesome Irish actor that I think always plays great bad guys. It's always funny to see him in sort of a good role versus a bad guy role because he usually always plays bad guy characters. And that, of course, is Mr. Ciarán Hinds. Oh, yeah. He's so awesome. I love this guy. I think he's such an amazing actor. But Ciarán Hinds is just an awesome guy. I absolutely love his acting. I think he's a great director, or actor, I should say. I think he takes great direction in all the movies he does, and just makes great performances of so many great villains that I've seen over the years. You might recognize him in a slew of films over the years that he's played, like I said, bad guys and different types of characters. He's done some producing, he's done some, editing type of directorial stuff I've heard and stuff like that. And he's just a really awesome, prolific, character actor as well, kind of like Kyle Chandler. Now, a couple movies I really enjoyed that he was in and thought he did a good job with were none other than an awesome film that came out in 2009, I believe, 2010 maybe. That's an awesome sequel to an awesome Nick Cage film that's based on a Marvel character. And that, of course, is the awesome film Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. Oh, yeah. So he actually takes over the role of Peter Fonda's character, the Devil, in the first film, and I thought he did a lot better job than Peter Fonda, unfortunately. I thought he was so much better at the role. I thought he brought a lot great more sinisterism to the Devil, and I just thought he did a really great job with the film. I thought he worked really well with Nick Cage, and he made a great newer version of that villain, and given us a whole new idea behind, more to that character versus what we learned about him in the first one. But all in all, I just loved the Ghost Rider films. I thought this one was really good. I loved the addition of Ciarán Hinds in it, and thought he was just so awesome and so amazing in it, and just did a really awesome job. Another great film that he was in that I absolutely thought he was fantastic in, and once again plays kind of a bad guy character in this film, and kind of comes around and becomes kind of a little bit of a kind of an anti-hero type of character. And that, of course, is in the awesome remake Disney film that actually the original was made back in the 70s. And that, of course, is the film Race to Witch Mountain. Oh, yeah! Woohoo! So if you haven't seen Race to Witch Mountain, like I said, basically it's a remake of the original from the 70s, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Anna Sophia Robb, Carla Gugino, and so forth. And it's just a really fun, awesome remake of a film. And I absolutely loved it. And I thought Ciarán was so awesome and did such an amazing job. And just was a really great, bad guy, kind of anti-hero type of character. And just was fun to watch. I totally forgot about his character in that film, actually, because I just recently rewatched it. And I remember just thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, he really was so good in it. And I was really impressed with his performance in it. Even though it was kind of like it's like a kid's family film, it still had a lot of great depth to that character in the film. So, I mean, he still brought that great drama characterization that he has and brought it to life in this film and did a really amazing job. Really enjoyed it. Thought he did a really good job, and just, it was, a great performance. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. Now, when it comes to his character in The First Man, I thought he was really good in it too. Even though it wasn't a huge part, he still brought a great sense of that character and that person that he was playing that was a part of, NASA and a part of the decision making and stuff like that. And I love that they brought in that character to give us an idea, and I thought Ciarán did a really good job of portraying that character, giving us more of maybe who he was and what he was like and what he had to deal with too as well. Kind of like with all the characters in the film. That's pretty much what I felt. I felt that they really, all the actors and actresses involved, really gave me an idea of what really went on back then, from that time frame, from 62 to 69, and just how those people had to deal with things, and how it was like and what they had to do and deal with. And that's what I feel Ciarán brought to this character too, is gave us a great look into that guy's real life and who he was and what he brought to NASA and what he brought to allowing Neil Armstrong to be the first person to put his foot on the moon. It just was a really well-rounded film, really amazing, very factually based. I thought was really amazing. I looked it all up, and they were pretty accurate on everything that actually really happened, and I thought that was really great. The only thing in it, there was one big liberty that they took, and it's toward the end of the film. I don't want to tell you exactly what it was, is if you haven't seen the film, and so that no spoilers, but it's still a great film, really amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out, people. I feel that this will be an Oscar contender, and that we will be seeing it being nominated for something, even if it's just director. Definitely looking forward to checking this out. When it comes back, out on DVD and Blu-ray 4K, definitely be picking it up, add it to my collection. It's just a really awesome film, really amazing, and just really intense and fun. Now, if you're not familiar with what the plot of First Man is, like I was saying before, basically what the movie does is entails Neil Armstrong's life and what he had to go through from 1962 to 1969 in July, when he landed on the moon and took the first step on the moon and then came back after that trip, is basically what, the movie is about. It's basically all his trials and tribulations of what he had to go through in order to be that person that was able to be the first person to touch the moon with his foot, basically. And pretty much everything that he had to deal with. And like I said, they were very accurate and really factual in everything they put in the film, and I thought that was fantastic. And I always enjoy when they make true story films, when they actually do that and give us, real factual stuff and what really happened and not take too many liberties. And Damien just did an amazing job with this film, like I said. So definitely, people, check this out. It's so amazing. It's such a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I was really impressed with it. Definitely, like I said, looking forward to picking it up eventually. If I get a chance to see it again in theaters, I might. It just was such a fun film and really well done and really pleasurable. Definitely highly recommend it. Giant 10 golden movie boxes up on this one, people. Really fantastic film, really well done, and definitely a must-see. Definitely an Oscar contender, people. Yeah. Oscar contender. Yeah. Anywho. That's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And also, thank you for subscribing. And if it's your first time here, if you've been here before and you haven't hit that subscribe button, come on, people, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video and any awesome videos I put up. And as always, people, keep your eyes out for any old or newer videos you might not have seen mine yet. And as always, people, check out the awesome Stardust app where you can watch 3 to 30-second little mini reviews of TV shows, trailers, movies, anything your heart desires. And also, this awesome app is constantly updating, adding cool special features to it, such as polls and contests and all kinds of cool stuff. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and download that for free on your respective Play stores. Look me up under Cyberneticshark, follow me, and then I'll follow you back. And as always, people, catch you in the next one.